I'm firelotusthewitch for the people that do not know. Um, and welcome back to another live witches chat. Hopefully, hopefully and praying technology is going to be on my side because I've almost had to fight my phone like 4 times today. Um, and hi, hello. I know I've not been live in a while. I'm trying to change that now. Um, and originally was going to go live on my Facebook page because I do need to do that, except for Facebook is just glitching the fuck out today. So I was like, nope, not doing that. Let me. But hi, holy shit, hello, hello. Also, everybody who follows astrology, hello. Be prepared because the one thing I do remember. Sorry, I just hit my pen and it wasn't hitting, and then all of a sudden it was hitting, so I just accidentally dragon puffed it without dragon puffing it. But Chiron in Aries is going to be affecting us. Hello, starting in March. So if you have Chiron in Aries placement, like I do, you're gonna want to check your birth chart. Astro Matrix is the easiest site that I use. They have a website and they also have an app. I've been using it for probably 3 or 4 years now, possibly longer. Um, but yeah, Chiron is the wounded healer. It literally is the wounded healer energy. He's doing okay, but he's having side effects. The chemo is starting to build up in him, so he's constantly staying tired, along with other side effects. Um, and we're currently trying to figure out what the fuck the treatment center is doing because he's not scheduled for another appointment until March 1st. So we have no idea. When we went Friday to actually get his treatment, we had like two doctors, a nurse, a receptionist, be like, "Hey, you're not in the system, but we're gonna fix that." So we thought this past Wednesday, he would get it. Nothing was scheduled. Today, nothing was scheduled, and as of 4 o'clock today, nothing has been scheduled for tomorrow. So I have no idea. But other than that, he's doing okay. We did find out through the types of treatments that more than likely he will be getting the second round of chemo, which we were hoping not to. I do not know the scientific name to it, but it is known as the Red Devil because it is the strongest type of chemo that they can give him. He already had it when he was younger, and specifically, they're slightly semi worried about it can damage the lining of the heart, and due to the fact that he's already been exposed to it, we're hopefully and hoping that nothing will come out of it. If you do not follow me on TikTok, I do actually have a major update of that. This past Friday, when we went and saw the nurse practitioner, which is under his doctor, they went to measure the tumor and they could not find it. So that's good. Good news. We're hoping by the time that they get in there and actually schedule him and do the types of testing that they will not find anything. Um, but yeah, other than just being really, really tired and not really having any energy, and he is starting to have, we'll say, sickness issues. Other than that, he's doing okay. So that's where we're with that. Normally he gets treatment every Friday, but like I said, they're having scheduling issues. So as soon as I get an update on that, I will update you on that as well. But Chiron and the Wounded Healer energy, imagine Moldavite as a celestial body. That's what we're dealing with. Not everybody is going to be affected by it, but it also depends on From my understanding, it's only really going to affect the people that actually have Aries in Chiron because Chiron is currently moving through Aries and/or will be moving through Aries. We hope so. They originally told us last Friday that like they're going to get him in because he's the priority, and they wanted to do it Wednesday and Thursday, but his doctor has specifically stated not to because Friday is one of the only days that his doctor is actually there with him, or at least there at the center. So hopefully we'll get a phone call. Normally though, they call us twice the day before to like make sure that we'll verify the appointment and everything. But I will state your healing energy, the candles that have been lit is definitely working because the nurse practitioner themselves was completely fucking blown away that they could not find it. So all in all, we're hoping to be done by this, or at least the chemo by the end of April. I believe that's the way it's scheduled. And then he'll wind up having the surgery. Once he recovers from the surgery, then more than likely they'll go in with radiation. And that's just an extra precaution because cancer can like leave these microscopic pieces, and that in itself could eventually start back up. So that's the plan for that. But yeah, Chiron starts in the 1st of March, and I believe it's going to go all the way through March or halfway through March on top of Leo being affected. So watch out for that. That is so awesome. He's getting better. Oh yeah, he's definitely kicking his ass. The most thing he's nervous about right now is the second line of chemo and the actual surgery. Um, because I mean it's surgery, complete. I can't call it a mystectomy, but it'll be a complete done, and then they'll recover from that, and then eventually do chemo. I mean, eventually do radiation, and hopefully by midsummer we'll be completely done. He'll be completely healed, and yeah. Um, but yeah, that's how that's going right now. Um, and apparently technology is fighting me because um, but yeah, other than that, we've just been chilling here at the house. He hasn't been able to return back to work due to the other side effects that he's getting from it. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at now. Um, but yeah, and again, I'm getting back into going live because I'm TikTok's pissing me off, and I'm realizing I'm focusing way more attention on it, which is good and bad. It's positive and negative. Um, and then I think I have one more book that I have to read and review. Also, um, tomorrow around 9 a.m., be looking out for the newest podcast episode to drop, which will officially be season 3. And I interviewed, let me see if I have the book right next to me. And of course, I think I put it all the way down. No, let's see. I interviewed Kobe, which is the author behind the Poison Path Apothec. This book. I interviewed him, and that will be released this Friday. And then possibly in the first week of March, on over on their Instagram, we'll be doing a dual live together, which I'm slightly nervous about. Um, and then I have another major episode March 2nd, like tomorrow, Friday, or no? Tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow it will drop. Hopefully, as long as I get up in time, it will drop around 9 a.m. tomorrow morning Eastern Standard Time. And for anybody who rewatches this and sees this, and you don't know who I am, hi Fire Lotus. You can find my podcast on all streaming platforms, Fire Lotus the Witch. And let me tell you, the interviews that I have planned for this year, March 3rd, 2nd or 3rd, I've got to double check that. I think it's March 2nd. That is the biggest episode slash author that I'll be interviewing to date. And if you're part of the Facebook group and Discord, you already know who I'm talking about, but and then I have a few TikTokers that I'm also planning on interviewing as well. Um, but yeah, I fucking October, since last year of October, it completely fucked everything up. Um, but I also have another announcement, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because we're trying to not have as many as we do, but we also have 2 kittens that are expecting, which is Mama. I actually do not know her name because for some reason, every time one of the female cats, the oldest female cat, I just call them Mama. She is currently expecting, and then one of her kittens from last year is also unfortunately expecting. So we're gonna have bunch of fur balls lying around. I'm super excited, still thinking of questions, and need to stop procrastinating and read the first book. Yes, please do, because I myself, like, I don't even know all the questions that I'm going to ask, because what I do is when I go to interview somebody, I'll look at other episodes of other podcasts that they've been on, because I don't like asking the same questions. And you'll kind of hear that tomorrow in the newest episode. I myself was kind of awkward, but basically both of our brains just kept going blank, and you can kind of hear that in that episode. But for the people that have not read, what did I do with that book? Alright, Pin. Damn, you hit a little bit harder than you're supposed to. For anybody who has not read this book, if you are part of any witchy groups, you're gonna hear multiple things about this. It's a really fucking good book. Um, it is kind of an introduction into how to use poisonous plants without necessarily consuming them. You're also going to learn a lot about a couple of planets, deities that are associated with it, and a shit ton of history. But I also love the, let me see if I can say this word right, glyphs. There we go. The glyphs that they create to be able to work with these poisonous plants without necessarily having hands-on experience. Like I have cats, so there's not a lot of herbs that I can have outside of a jar or grow in our property. But it's a really good book. Also, there's going to be links and everything associated with this. Go check them out. They have a shop where you can actually get necklaces and a lot of other things, including some of these herbs in tinctures or medicine format. Um, but it was very interesting because, for one, the amount of history that they go into regarding the herbs, it blew my mind. And to be a modern day witch and in some way, shape, or form not get to work with some of these poisonous herbs, it just makes sense. Flying ointments and everything like that, riding the broom, jumping the hedge, all of that was associated with belladonna, mandrake. Um, what's the other one that I've actually tried? I've tried Dontra. Um, it goes over love magic. It goes over the dark side of Lilith, or the I think it's Lilith's dark side. It also teaches you how to work with the plants, and it slightly touches on the witch father because I did not know that he is a traditional witch. Um, but yeah, that's coming. And then the one, like I said, if you're in the Facebook group, you know that's one that I've been working towards since I started all of this. Now the only new thing that is going to happen is I'm going to stop actually keeping up with the number of episodes that we have. It's just going to be season 3. Um, and shortly, within the next, we'll say 3 to 4 weeks, I will be rebranding myself. I will have an official logo and everything. So a lot of big things have happening that's been happening in the background. Also, we have a new community service, and this one, there's no expiration date to it. And you will get to see the very first glimpses of it, which is this right here. This is a retribution jar, aka hex jar. And I had a very interesting experience with that because I went to go grab this book, the Book of Correspondences, and the entire pile of books that I have very, very unsafely just piled up right here decided to fall, and where it fell was one of the prime ingredients in that jar. But that jar, it's basically, if you got an ex coworker, a toxic person in your life, it doesn't hex them like most people online would think. It's not going to make their lives go to complete and utter shit, as much as it's going to work like a retribution spell, which means the toxic behavior is going to repeat over and over again in their lives until it stops, aka they have that eureka moment and be like, hey, maybe I'm the problem instead of all these other people. And as soon as they have that aha moment, it stops. So it's not like an actual baneful jar, because that's trending right now. Let's not even get me started on that. I recently just had to leave a Facebook also. If at any ever point, and before I say this, it has nothing to do with the actual group that this was a part of, but if for any reason I'm like, hi, or hey, I want to start a group chat and just invite all of these practitioners, no, that is a horrible idea. I'm not doing that again. Now, with that being said, let's talk about mirrors. So, mirrors has been a hot topic, or it was, and then it died down, and it's becoming a hot topic again, but it's confused the shit out of seedlings and sprouts. If you're new here, we do not use the term baby witch. It's derogatory as fuck. You're not a baby. You are a seedling or a sprout, because we all start at the same place, but we grow differently. And this practitioner, again, there's no such thing as a stupid question here, because in order to learn, you have to ask questions. and they're like, I have this item, I want to add it to my altar, but it has a mirror on it, and I've heard that mirrors are portals and doorways. Yes. Now, before I say this, and I have to say this carefully because I'm not trying to discredit other cultures or other spiritual beliefs, but these people that are constantly saying all mortals, fucking all mirrors are portals, the only thing I see in that is like this person avoids every reflective surface known to man. Can a mirror be a portal? Yes, yes, it can. 9 times out of 10, though, you have to activate it. As in, there are not just demons and spirits and all different types of shit behind that mirror just itching to get through. It needs to be activated. Well, how do you activate it? Magically. So now, in the example that I use in this, if you go to a brand new store and you buy a brand new fucking mirror that is still in the box, unless there are cultists making said mirror at said company, it's a fucking mirror and that's it. Now, if you go thrifting, yes, you need to cleanse, save, cleanse, and seal. Well, how do you seal a mirror? You can use sigils, you can use runes. If you want to go really old school and slight folk mixed with other ones as well, olive oil, vinegar, white vinegar will work perfectly. And make whatever symbol, whether that's a cross, a pentagram, make that symbol there, and boom. My cats try to go into my mirror in my room. His name is Oh, and I have one mirror that's in my craft room. If you've followed me on TikTok, you've seen it because I used to do like the mirror TikTok videos. That mirror is weird, but we also found it on the side of the road from one of my neighbors throwing it out, and it's got this giant crack down the middle of it, but it's weird. Now, I have messed and dabbled with mirror magic, and it's one of the one times that I was shook it to my core. And hello, magical sister, if you're viewing this, hi. But I was with my friend, basically sister. We're gonna call her, fuck it, Emily. And she had just started interacting with her mirror in her bathroom. And like I walked her through the things, don't make any deals, like don't let shit free, don't break it. It you gotta treat an activated mirror like an Ouija board. So if you do come across a trickster spirit, because yes, you can. There are spirits that can use mirrors to like come into this realm, if you will. Do not break it though. So in other words, if you're doing something in front of a mirror and you see something that scares the shit out of you, your first instinct should not be to break it. Why? Because you're breaking that doorway. The Ouija board or spirit board that I have hung up here. Actually one of many viral videos that I did was in fact that. It was somebody that was burning it. And I'm like, why are you gonna burn it? Because their first thought was, well, fire cleanses. Yes, but not when it comes to something like that. Because the board in itself is a doorway. The mirror, if activated, can be a doorway. If you destroy that door, you're just basically destroying it, therefore it's no longer being contained. It's the same reason that people love fucking jars, witchy jars. And I get it. Spell jars have their moment and place, but not everything belongs in a jar. Why? Because you're containing it. So how would you uncontain that? You shatter the bitch. Same with the mirrors. I haven't worked with mirrors much. Can you do a lot of things or mainly self-work? You can do a lot of things. You can send messages through mirrors using feathers. You almost anything you can do on this realm or in magic, you can do with a mirror. In fact, if you actually started on my Facebook page, if you started following me over there, you would know that back in my old craft room, the way the room was set up, it's the biggest room in the house, so it's like the master bedroom. But it has one section of the wall that's like inward. It's right next to the closet, so there's like this little nook here. And then there's this table with two shelves, and there's a mirror right there. I personally love working in front of mirrors due to the fact that, for one, self-love, self-acceptance, but it also, I think it activates my shade. So it's almost like we're working together. And you can do that. There are types of, not a shade, but there are types of magic to where you can actually work with your reflection to kind of add double the amount. But you do have to be careful with them because you can come across a trickster, and there are other things. There's a reason that certain traditions, when somebody dies, you're supposed to cover all reflective areas, specifically mirrors, because if you see your fetch or if you see your reflection, that soul can be trapped in that mirror. So yes, you can use mirrors to trap things and all different types of shit. Now, the most powerful thing that I've done with a mirror, and it's one thing that I suggest to others who are interested in it, and also if you're interested in past life, it's great. But if you have any mental shenanigans where delusions can affect you in a negative way, I would not attempt this whatsoever. But what you're going to do is you're going to get a mirror. You are going to get a single white candle. Yes, it can be a tea light. I prefer tea lights because most tea lights will burn for a certain amount of time. And what you're going to do is you're going to place the tea light like right next to the mirror. So it's kind of over here, as in the actual tea light is illuminating the mirror, but you cannot see the candle in the mirror. And you're going to get into a comfortable situation and you're going to sit there and you're going to stare at your reflection. And then you're going to repeat this: Oracle of lunar light, lend me the second sight. What you in fact are doing, and if you do it successfully, this is also, it's going to put you into a trance-like state. Now, I wish somebody would have told me this and described it in the description of said spell, because it scared the shit out of me the first time I did it. But your actual, like, what you're looking through, so this is perfect. So imagine me as you, and basically you're going to start to kind of shift. The way that I describe it, it's like if you were to be looking into a coffee cup and you see your reflection and then you pour the creamer in it, how it gets a little murky and kind of whips it, like wonky. That's what's going to happen to your reflection. And then eventually the end goal is you're going to see yourself, or you're going to see what you look like in a past life. The only thing that will not change are your eyes. Your gender can change, all of that can change, but your eyes are going to stay the same. And the cool thing about this is you're not activating the mirror, because you're not summoning something, you're not putting energy into it, you are just using it as a seer, as a divination tool. But it works 100%. You may have to do it multiple times, but it definitely works. Now, what was that comment? Like, I look straight into the mirror and on my left side of my eye, I can feel someone else is there. Yep. You also helped me remind me of the reason I got spooked. So, Emily was like, hey, I have something to show you. So I was like, all right. And I'm already, with this particular mirror that I'm talking about, I was already uneased, okay? There was something about it. So we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, it was so weird too, because I looked behind me. I saw this very tall, dark figure standing behind me, and it was almost like it had its hands on my shoulders. So I freaked the fuck out and walked off. I did not know Emily saw it. So Emily looked at me and was like, so what's up with your guard? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? What guard? What are you talking about? Apparently, I have an ancestor, and the crazy thing about this is I've had 4 other people in different time periods, as in like at different ages of my life, tell me this. But I have a very, 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 very tall, like 7-foot tall, guard, an ancestor, that until I personally in my own life get to a certain level, it's kind of just there. It doesn't interact with me. I've only seen it once outside of the mirror, and I about fell off my fucking porch. But she saw it. So yes, mirror magic can be very, very potent, especially if you have any type of the clairaudient, clairsentience. It is very strong. That's so interesting. Now I'm curious. Yes. And like I said, if you get spooked or anything like that, you can also, it's one of the same things I tell people if you want to work with a spirit board for the very first time. There are extra steps that you can do to prevent anything weird from happening. You can inscribe the back of it with runes or sigils or other protective amulets. I always use types of crystals and everything like that when I work with the spirit board. Now, with the spirit board, though, just because it's been popping the fuck off on TikTok, if at any point in time you are working with a spirit board, specifically a spirit board, and you come across ZO, you need to exit board ASAP. Especially if you identify as a feminine person. You need to exit board and just put that shit away, light whatever cleansing herbs you would like to light, and just make sure that you don't fuck with that, because there are some people that fucked around with that and found out. Now, there is a misleading video on TikTok that compares that entity to the entity in the horror movie Mama. It is not. Now, that entity in itself is very interesting due to one thing, and there's a trigger warning with this, which is domestic violence. So, if you followed Zach from Ghost Adventures, you would know in the first season, they were out. Fuck. Babe, what's the place in Arizona with the Wild Wild West? The place your dad went to. There we go. They were around the Tombstone area, and they had a film crew with them. And they had this couple, I'm going to say Amber and Dave. I don't know their actual names. But these two couples, they were renowned EVP, electrical magnetic voice phenomenon, or electrical voice phenomenon, basically a recording. But they have had some of the best EVPs ever. And they were downstairs. Now, the film crew was with them. They were downstairs, and there's three incidences that happened. A brick was picked up and thrown. It was caught on camera. A piece of wood was also thrown. But it was the EVP. And the reason this had me hooked on the series, there's a reason, remember the couple, they caught one, and they were in front of this small stage, but they caught one that said, "Thank you," almost like the spirit was like taking an applause, like it was bowing down. Fast forward, this married couple, they actually had to contact Zach because they had fucked around with the spirit board and discovered Zio, do not say that name, but they discovered that. And it was basically a malice entity that was never human, so an in-body malice entity. Again, we do not use the term demon around here to describe evil. And it messed with them a lot. It physically affected her. If I were to go into more detail, I'd have to do like multiple trigger warnings. But the reason this is creepy, and this is something that they have not touched on except for I think in one episode at the very end of it, they have a memorial of them. But here's a trigger warning. Shortly after that, about 6 months after that, the husband and the wife got into a really, really bad domestic violence episode, and he took her life, and then he turned around and took himself. So, and a lot of people around them in their actual normal everyday lives credit it to that specific incident with the Zio. And they stated that after they had that interaction, that the couple in itself was never the same, and they had always struggled with domestic violence and things like that. So that is one thing when it comes to Ghost Adventures that is extremely interesting. Other than that, I think they're trash. I'm sorry. I don't like them anymore. I used to follow them religiously. I also had a crush on Zach. But there's a lot of questionable things that have happened. And if you watch the episodes right as the two tech guys are added onto their team, you'll notice a lot of weird shit. But yeah, that with the Zio, and the spirit board, a lot of the times people make jokes about it, but it is a very powerful thing. Like I would not take it to a cemetery. I would not take it to a place that you know for a fact has spirits there. I've only had one weird reaction, and I cannot explain this. So, I was living with my mom, and I was 14. Yeah, I was 14, 13 or 14. And I got one of the ones from not Dollar General, Walmart that glows in the dark. And me and my friend Cody and his sister were there. And the way the apartments were, we had our apartment and there was another one built onto it. And the one right next to us was vacant. So we're in my room. Now take in mind, we're just now moving into it. So there's not a lot of furniture there. And we're sitting at my, one of my walls, and I came up with a saying when using the Ouija board, which is a Ouija give us the power we command. It's kind of like activating it. And I had one of the old school blue and silver Nokia phones. And I was recording it. I wanted to see if we could get an EVP. So like in the board in general, nothing weird happened. But the crazy thing is when now the sister walked out, she did not want to be a part of this. So it was just me and Cody. And we did it. We kind of like, moved. Nothing really happened. So we got bored. So we ended that session. And always remember, when using a Ouija board, you always need to say goodbye. The reason you're saying that is because that's basically the disconnect. It disconnects it. Um, and we played the recording back, and there was a third voice. Now, when I say there was a third voice, I do not mean like a regular voice. It actually sounded what most people would use as the term demonic. Like, it was like, oh, Ouija. Like, it sounded way deeper than me and him combined. So we're looking at this and we're like, all right, what if it was, both of our voices overlaying on each other? So we just recorded ourselves multiple times saying the same thing and like timing it to where we were saying it at the exact same time. Never came through. The creepy part about that was my mentor, Sierra, one day I will find her. Um, she informed me 2 weeks later that the couple next door was an elderly couple. The guy passed away and his wife was gone. He passed away, and the reason the neighbors got his attention, or he got the neighbors' attention, was banging on the wall with a hammer. And then the couple before that, the wife had passed away there. So that's the only weird experiences I've really had with the spirit board. I've had more experiences with a pendulum than I have a spirit board. But again, it just depends. Now, when it comes to spirit communication, for one, we're all gifted. We all have psychic abilities. The only difference is they're not closed. I know like Buddhists and other cultures will teach you that they're like flowers and they're closed up. No, what's happened, and actually there's a documentary that I've got to go back and look at. But a group of people came together and they actually figured out that it's fear. Fear is what disconnects us from those abilities. Hello, and it's okay. I totally agree. I used to have a huge fan of Ghost Adventures to the last few seasons. Same. That's when we stopped watching it. It just got. You could tell that things were just. Yeah. But fear disconnects us. Now, the way that I've always told people is we've all, probably most of us, have always had those couple of moments when we were younger, like before we hit our teens, where we had somebody like adult tell us, get our heads out of the clouds, stop making shit up. And what happened was it slowly drove a wedge between that. So now as adults, you have a way to reconnect to that. And then once you reconnect to it, all you have to do is hone it in. Now, honing it in is going to be different. And this is the reason when I hear somebody, even psychic medium, whatever, and they're like, well, come to my course, I can teach you, and you'll, no. No, 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 no. Everybody learns differently. Which is one of the reasons I always encourage people to get Penzak's Temple of Witchcraft. The way that is written, anybody will be able to pick it up. But what you have to do is figure out what works for you. So with me, I have second sight or biolocation. Basically, I can project my sight outside of my head and know it's not astral projection. There's also scientific evidence behind this. They are still used in the CIA, the FBI, and most other governmental things. They still use seers to this day. And then I have claircognizance, which is clear knowing. Now, there's been a couple of other incidences, and I can't think of what it's called, where I can touch something and I get flashes of the history of that object. So all of us, when it comes to the clairs, we all have them. We have all of them. And a lot of people, they always say your psychic abilities, they're supernatural. No, they're not. They're 100% natural. They're so 100% natural that actually our sight, touch, and smell is very low to what we can actually do. And society in a whole has taught us that we don't need to use them. It makes us weird and shit like that. But the more you practice at it, the more you can hone it in. And the more you hone it in, eventually you will start to build confidence behind it. And confidence when using your psychic abilities are key. And it's one of the reasons that book, The Psychic Witch, I'm sorry, I do not like that book. Now, for a very, 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 very new seedling, that would be an okay book. But to me, I did not like it because it's not new. I want to learn things that are new. It's like watching a movie, but with a different eye. Exactly that. And it can, again, you have to figure out what hones in, what helps you hone in. So there are the cards that you can find. You can also make them. I always forget the name, but they start with a Z. I want to say Xena. But they're cards that you used to see in the 60s and 70s where they're just shapes and you hold them up, like the third eye, I mean. Yes, with the second sight, the with me, mine's different because I have heard people actually see it in color. I don't really see in color. I see in like a black, white, gray format. But it's very cool. And if you think you have this, I have a trick to see if you do. It's going to take time because what I personally learned in my own personal practice when it comes to these psychic abilities, it's almost like you activate it without trying to activate it because it's 100% normal to us. So, you know those moments where you're looking for a key word in a conversation you're having and it's on the tip of your tongue, but you, for the life of you, cannot say it? It's how our brains are. Our brains are so good, and it's like a computer that when we have those moments and the words on the tip of our tongues, the reason we can't actually access it is because our brain is shifting through all of the information, but it's doing it so well that it in itself bypasses the actual knowledge that we're looking for. In French, it's also called presque ragu, which is basically it's like on the tip of your tongue. Psychic abilities are the exact same way. So if you go intentionally trying to access them, there's a very high possibility you're not going to, and you're going to frustrate yourself. Now, I learned that I had second sight at a very young age. I was about 14 going on 15, but I did not know the name of it until shit, like 5 years after that, thanks to Instagram. Um, but how I learned it was I used to see spirits a lot when I went to sleep, and they never really freaked me out. They never spoke to me, but there was one incident where I woke up and I had a line of just black shadowed people surrounding me, and they're not saying anything, so it creeped me out. So I started wearing a blindfold. Now at this point, I also started watching Child Psychic or Psychic Kids on A&E. I was obsessed with that show. But I was like, all right, so I'm gonna try to open my third eye. Well, at the same time as that, I was also trying to close it because I was tired of seeing dead shit that I could not explain. Um, so one night I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to sleep with a blindfold on. That was one of the nights that it clicked in my head because I woke up and the first thing I noticed was everything was gray. And I was like, okay, well, I'm probably dreaming. And then I realized I was staring at my own wall in my bedroom. So I was like, well, all right, my head, my blind went off. And I reached up and no, it didn't. It was still completely on in the exact same moment. So my eyes were completely covered. And I was blinking and I'm like, how am I doing this? And as soon as I realized what I was doing, it stopped. So over the course of 15 and now I'm 29. I'll be 30 in April the 4th. I learned that it's the key to accessing that is twilight sleep. So if you've ever been sedated but not fully put under, you know what I'm talking about. But twilight sleep is the middle ground. This is also interesting because this is also a lot of the times what triggers our experiences with the old hag or old hag syndrome. So really quick, old hag syndrome where it feel like there's something on your chest and you wake up and you're paralyzed and you can't move, sleep paralysis. What actually triggers sleep paralysis? Our brains have two mechanisms when we go to sleep. One of those mechanisms cuts off when we actually enter the dream state. That way, our ancestors way back then who were still living in caves would not accidentally roll off, act out their dreams, hurt somebody, or roll off. So, what winds up happening, and scientists don't know why, but basically, for some reason, what winds up happening is that lever flips, it glitches. So when you have sleep paralysis, what's actually happening is your brain has woke up, but your body is completely paralyzed. Now, obviously, there's a supernatural aspect to that, but that's what happens. It's also the same thing as twilight sleep. Twilight sleep, and most of us did it a lot when we were a kid. Twilight sleep is where you're not fully asleep, but you're not fully awake. So your body is basically asleep, but you can hear every single thing around you and you're aware. I realized that by doing this, you can wind up accessing that second sight. But the hardest thing, especially if you're neurodivergent, that I've had to deal with is not realizing that I'm doing it. Now, I myself, being awake, have activated it about 4 times, and my friend Stacy, I flipped her the fuck out because we're on the phone, and she's halfway across town that I used to live in. We'll say 25, 35 minutes away. And I was talking to her about it because that was around the time that I discovered that I had it. And she's like, all right, prove it. I'm like, well, how the fuck do you expect me to do that? And she goes, describe what I'm wearing. I not only described what she was wearing, I described what she was wearing, what she was doing, how she was sitting, and where she was at in her house, down to a T. Scared the complete and utter shit out of her. And recently, in the past 2 years, I've developed the Twilight meditation. So when you go to take a cat nap, if you go past the 45-minute mark, you're going to wind up waking up 10 times more tired than you were before. The reason that is most of us will wind up dreaming. If you hit the deep sleep cycle and you wake up and you interrupt it, that's when you feel groggy, you're half asleep, your body is just tired. There's a way around that. Primarily, you're going to look at a 35-minute window, but you're going to set your phone or your alarm for 45. That way you got like 15 minutes to actually get comfortable and everything like that. And then you're just going to relax. Um, to me, it works better if I'm laying flat. I guess because I normally sleep on one of my sides. So if I'm laying flat, it makes my body realize that I'm not trying to go to sleep. And you're going to set the timer and you're going to put the blindfolds on and you're just going to sit there and relax. Let your mind run as far and wide as it wants to, because eventually what's going to wind up happening is it's going to stop. And with me, when I do this, there's normally 1 to 2 things that I see. I'll start to see these colors, and if you want to know what I'm talking about, press your fingers against your eyes. Those colors, yeah, like that. The rainbow colors, right? Or the stars, or the zzz. That's going to wind up fading. And normally what happens to me, it's like an old school map, like a globe, and then there's like a magnifying glass and or the thing that you would use, planchette. There's like a planchette that's going like this and searching. And then I using this meditation, I've activated it 3 times recently. But again, as soon as my brain realized what I was doing, it stopped. So it's almost like you have to bypass the actual acknowledgement that you're doing it and trying to do it in order for it to work. But the cool thing is with that, not only, even if you don't successfully do it, when that timer goes off, you're going to wake up and feel completely refreshed. And if you go to sleep beforehand, while you're setting your timer, talk to your spirit team, your spirit guides, your ancestors, whatever you work with. Talk to them and ask them, hey, if I do fall asleep, let's meet up. And it works to the point where, for one, if you do fall asleep, you're going to wind up remembering every single thing that you dreamed. Because again, you're not going to go through multiple dream cycles. You're only going to go through that one. But I have it set up to where if I go to a specific diner and sit down at a specific booth, I'm having a meeting with my ancestors, primarily my spirit guides. Um, so it works. That's one of the techniques that I've learned. The other technique I talked about before, get somebody to hide an object. We'll say like the pyrite. It can be literally anything in a room that has a lot of other items in it. So like if you have a room with multiple bookshelves and knickknacks, that's going to be a perfect room. You're going to get somebody randomly to go hide that object or whatever object you picked, and then you're going to walk in the room. You don't have to do this blindfolded, but you're going to walk in the room and you're going to try to project your sight or your senses out. And that's one of the most hardest things I've for myself had to do, and also to help other people learn. It's to push it out. Now, if you want to connect with energy, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to do it with your hand. You're going to find a plant, specifically something growing outside, but it can be like a potted plant. And what you're going to do now, if you cannot visualize, I'm going to have to still working on a non-visualization technique. But what you're going to do is you're going to try to envision your energetic body moving out of your physical body and touching the plant. Once you've successfully done that, you can move up to like humans, dogs, cats, trees, whatever. But essentially, it's the basics between energy exercise. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about, and let me know if you want a link because I can share it. There are also therapy sounds that are great to do with twilight sleeping, especially for anxiety. Yes. Now, with the sounds, try to stay away from hertz, because there are certain hertz and frequencies that you can find in some of those sounds that can actually trigger night terrors and other things. So research hertz if hertz are involved or frequencies are involved in that. So there was, and we're about to go outside because I got to smoke a cigarette. I'm close to quitting, but there was a document that was called Season of the Witch. Wait, was it called Season of the Witch? I'll double check the name, but it was all over TikTok. I think it is Season of the Witch. But it was 4 practitioners from Kentucky who decided to get together and make a documentary about witches and witchcraft. It's on Amazon Prime, but I found a YouTube channel who fully uploaded the entire document, and I watched half of it last night. I say half of it because I could not finish it. I'm going to try tonight, but there were so many red flags that I just did not like, but eventually I'm going to do a full review on it. Wait, I forgot. I'm on fucking YouTube. Hold on. See, I'd have to block that out if I was on TikTok. But it's an okay series. I mean, a documentary. I like it, but there are a couple of things that just don't make sense to me. But like I said, let me know, and I'll either message it to you. I'm gonna post it in the Discord. And it's a YouTube video. It's completely free. So, and then Vanessa Hudson is also coming out with one that's called Dead Hot Summer of the Witch, and her and one of her friends goes to Salem for the first time because apparently they're into witchcraft as well. So, but that's also, I think, going to be on Amazon Prime. I really wish series would stop coming out on like certain streaming platforms. And if you're a part of the community service, everything is created. They've been lit. The only thing I have not been able to do yet is the honey jars. And the reason that is because I cannot find honey to save my life. I went to 4 stores yesterday and could not find it. The only one that I found was $15 a jar. And I'm sorry, I can't afford that right now. So hopefully tomorrow, when I go grocery shopping, I will be able to find actual honey to be able to create the honey jars. Now, there is one to anybody who likes watching psychics and mediums. There's one. When I first started watching her, I did not like her. But now that I've had more experiences with interacting with spirit, and or having spirit interact with me, I love her. And I think they're called the Dead Files. I think it is the Dead Files. And then, interesting story, because I don't think she's following me here on TikTok. So, the Dollar General that we go to all the time, there's a person there who I recently found out is a practitioner. The last time I talked to her, I had my spirit, or I had the spirit sign is what I call it. The entire right side of my arm, when spirit wants to talk to somebody or connect with somebody, will get head to toe goosebumps. And I haven't figured out how I want to go up to somebody and be like, hi, I would like to do a reading for you because you, in fact, have an ancestor or spirit trying to reach out to you. Now, there's more to that story, but I'm not going to share personal information, so I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. And, to be slightly controversial, also I want to get other people's opinions, and I'm not talking bad about this person. Has anybody got Witchfoot's new book? And if you're not on TikTok, you may not understand who that is. Yes, Amy Allen. Yes, thank you. I absolutely love her now. At first, due to how she reacted to Spirit, I did not believe it. Like, I was like, I fully believe it now because the interactions that I've had when Spirit came through, I'm just like, yep, nope, that's how it is. Because sometimes you kind of do pick up on their personalities and you kind of act them out. It's very weird. I used to like Teresa, and then I realized she was a fake. A really big fake. Same, and there's another one that I semi-like, and it's called Kindred Spirit. I do like that show. I don't like one of the people that are on there, but they're also from another paranormal show. But, it's very interesting. And if you're on Twitter, did anybody see the drama that happened between Llewellyn's authors? Because that was a shit show, but I love how Llewellyn's handled it. And Llewellyn's official response was, "We're a book publishing company. That's it. We're not going to take sides with our authors. Y'all are adults. You can do that yourself." And for anybody who doesn't know, apparently there was, I think they're called Christian Day. They're ex-witch turned Christian, I think. But apparently that one and like 3 to 4 other authors from Llewellyn's publicly had it out on TikTok, and there was a lot of anti-Semitic ties and a bunch of other really fucked up shit attached to these circles of people. And the reason I brought that up, there's a reason, not just to spill the tea. Although I totally should come up like a witchy tea channel. But hold that thought. Ooh, shit. Oh my god, why did I bring that up? Ah, problematic authors. That's why I brought that up. So, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I locked my phone when I was putting it in the stand. So, if you, especially if you are a seedling or a sprout, yes. See, I didn't know if they were on YouTube or not. So you're gonna come across authors that have been labeled problematic. And yes, there are a lot of authors, not necessarily problematic as much as what they used in their books were problematic, because now it is technically considered cultural appropriation. But that does not mean you should not read the books. Like Buckland, the giant book of witchcraft. There are a lot of things in there that you can actually take in. Silver Ravenwolf used to be one of my hands down top favorite authors until I actually read into it. But that doesn't mean that you cannot take away the good knowledge from those books. Oh no, I have to look into that. There's a book by Christian Day I have on my list. Yeah, and now I don't know exactly what was said, but there's a lot. Like, apparently another problematic author is, let me see. One of these days, I'm predicting my death. My death is going to be because a pile of books have fallen on me and crushed me to death. Wait, are you it? No, you're not it. Oh my god. Of course, I'm not going to have the book in here. Ah! Jason Miller. Apparently, Jason Miller and his TikTok are very problematic. I mean, his Twitter are very problematic. Say what you will, you'll learn a lot from this book and Protection and Reversal Magic. You'll learn a lot from these books. And that's what I think some people forgot, especially now with social media, which is, and I'm part of this too. We kind of idolize some of these authors so much that we also forgot that they're normal fucking people. But there are, again, you're going to find a lot of problematic authors, but there are a lot of great information there. And one of my friends, Derry, said it the best, which is, without these problematic authors and the books that they published, we would not have witchcraft. We would not have the witchy books that we have to this day. I don't use Twitter, but that does sound juicy. Grown adults bickering like children. Oh, they really were, and it was a complete and utter shit show. Have you read Entering the Garden? Ooh, I have not. And I know with Jason Miller, there are 2 other books that I have to get by him. Is there any other ones? And then the Hoodoo book that I still have to do a review for TikTok on. A lot of people are going to look at that and be like, well, no, that's cultural appropriating, but it's not, because they don't know the history. Now, even the author in itself, Star, also said the same thing. They're like, there's a lot of people, even in my own community, that do not like that I'm publishing this in a book. But they're dealing with hoodoo, or hoodoo. There are variants, depending on how it's pronounced, including voodoo. There's like 3 to 4 different types of voodoo. But again, depending on how it's spelled and how it's pronounced, it's different. But they're having the same problem that Jake Richards had, which was Appalachian folk magic. It's dying out. The elders, not the fact that the elders are no longer passing the stories on, there are no longer people that want those stories and is passing on that knowledge. So Star is like, look, it's either I write all of this shit out and publish it, or it dies off whenever I die. And that's one of the reasons you're starting to see a huge influx in folk books. Folk magic. You're starting to see a influx in Ozark magic, um, Irish magic, Italian magic. All of these practices that there wasn't really that much information on. There's going to be information on it now due to the fact that they're dying out, and that a lot. Like not to talk bad about somebody, but there's a specific person that we used to live with, and the type of Wicca that they were from, it stems from Canada. But the way their coven worked, and when I mean coven, I mean multiple states and multiple sections in Canada. They're huge. But the way that they work is when you get a student, that student hand copies your Book of Shadows and so forth, so on, which means the main leader of the covens, they're the only ones that can add information to this. The problem with that is that energy is going to go stagnant. And when that energy goes stagnant, it's going to wind up falling apart. Not to mention, they also did that because they turned around and turned their entire study group against the original teacher who taught the person that I'm talking about. And then that person became the teacher. Never do that. And that's the problem with covens. Not all covens, but most covens. Sorry, my phone's weird. It's also the sunlight. But that's one of the issues with a lot of covens is you always have one or two people who think they can do it 10 times better, and it winds up blowing up in their face. But with that being said, I'm going to cut this short. I matched the date or the time that I wanted. Not to mention, to be honest, Outer Banks Season 3 is out, and I'm obsessed with that show. So I will be retiring tonight. Um, well, no, I won't. I have one thing that I still have to do. I need to do that now, actually. Um, but yeah. So from what we learned about this, mirrors are not portals unless otherwise activated and/or purposely activated. And I'm gonna try my best to stay away. See, I want to stay away from some of the witchy groups on Facebook, but I learned how many seedlings and sprouts there actually are. And there are so many people who are just like, no, that won't work. No, this won't work. And I'm like, why? The whole lemon thing. Why would a lemon not work in a hex or a curse? Because some random witch online said it couldn't. But you know what it can work in? Sour spells or bitter spells. But anyways, I'm not going on that rant. This though will become a normal thing. I do not know what time, but I will do the same thing I did today, where I will announce it on my Facebook, and on TikTok, and I gotta start doing that in the Discord. Also, anybody who sees this, hi, we have a Discord. It's an amazing Discord. Um, you can find it in the link tree done by this. I tell the proper boy. Well, hello. Um, but yeah, we have a Discord. It is 18 plus because there's a lot of shit we go over that I don't want emails by parents cussing me out because I'm gonna wind up being like, it's your job to monitor your family, not mine. But yes, lots of new things coming. And I am planning on doing no live reading soon. I'm gonna try. I have issues doing the live reads because I don't know. I'm gonna try on here. I'm not gonna do it on TikTok because that's just too much energy. So yes, I will be hopefully doing another live reading. Um, and I'm hopefully gonna get on a better schedule where I'll have certain days of the week. I've been saying this for the past 3 years. To where I will actually be going live around this time because it's what? Yeah, around 5-ish and 6-ish, hopefully. I'll be going live, and then there are a couple of other things that are in the early works. Hope you have a great evening. It's good seeing you live. Yes, thank you. I hope you do too. But yeah, and to anybody who replays this, if you made it to this point, let me know what your favorite food is using an emoji. There we go. And again, the newest episode is about to drop tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on my on my platform. Wow. On my podcast, Fire Lotus the Witch. And at any point in time, if you would like to book a reading with me or any type of custom spell work, email me, firelotusthewitch@gmail.com. You are more highly, you'll probably get a better response using an email than anything because the way I have my notifications set up. And at any point in time, if you have a magical question or you just want to share an experience or anything like that, email me. And yeah, I hope y'all all have a great evening. And I will talk to some of y'all later, soon. I don't know. But yeah, until then, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.